Imagine a frog whose mating call sounds like something out of Star Trek, or a fish the size of your thumb that looks permanently annoyed and fights like it's 6 feet tall. This is real and newly discovered in the wild. They're changing what we thought we knew about biodiversity, evolution, and even design. Nature isn't done surprising us. It's just getting weirder and more inspiring. Biodiversity isn't fully mapped. When we talk about saving the planet, we're usually referring to things like planting more trees, reducing plastic, or switching to solar panels. Noble efforts, no doubt. But here's the kicker. We're trying to save a planet we haven't even fully met yet. That's right. By current estimates, over 80% of Earth's species remain completely undiscovered. That's not a typo. The vast majority of life on this planet is still playing hide and seek with science. And these aren't just microscopic organisms hiding in deep sea vents, although yes, those exist too. Some are fungi that glow, bacteria that eats radiation, insects that defy classification, and fish that seem like they swam straight out of a sci-fi novel. Every year, researchers uncover creatures so weird and wild, they make us question what we thought we knew about evolution, biology, and the sheer creativity of nature. Think pink armadillo lizards, translucent frogs, and plants that digest metal. Yes, metal. Every new species discovered adds a branch to that tree of life. But it's more than just filling in blanks. It's sometimes discovering that the entire tree needs pruning or even replanting. These discoveries can disrupt taxonomies, reshape food chains, and even unlock new medicines or materials. In other words, mapping biodiversity isn't just a nerdy hobby for field biologists. It's a survival mission for humanity. Because how can we protect what we don't know exists? The frogs of Madagascar, amphibians from another planet. Let's hop over to Madagascar, an evolutionary outpost that's been drifting on its own for about 88 million years. That's a long time to get weird, and weird it has got. Over 90% of Madagascar's wildlife is found nowhere else on Earth. It's the Galapagos Island on steroids, and perhaps nowhere is that more obvious than in its frogs. In recent expeditions, researchers uncovered several previously unknown frog species, and they're nothing short of mind-blowing. Picture frogs with transparent skin. You can see their hearts beating and organs pulsing in real time. Others boast bioluminescent patches, lighting up like tiny glow sticks, scattered across the forest floor. And then there's the sound. Oh, the sound! One particular species produces high-frequency chirps so piercing and odd that scientists had to use special audio equipment just to pick them up. To the human ear, it's barely a blip. But with the right tech, it sounds like a retro fantasy weapon charging up. Naturally, they've been dubbed the phaser frog. Its call is more alien than amphibian. And yet, this is no visitor from outer space. It's 100% Earthborn, the product of millions of years of isolated evolution and strange environmental pressures. These frogs challenge our understanding of what amphibians can be, both in biology and behavior. And the kicker? Scientists think there are dozens more species, still hiding in the undergrowth, waiting to be discovered. Each one could reshape what we know about communication, camouflage, or even biomimicry. In Madagascar, it turns out, Earth has been quietly making aliens of its own. Let's be clear, their bizarre traits aren't random quirks. They're survival tools, honed by millions of years of natural selection. That weird, high-pitched sci-fi chirp? It's not just a party trick. It's strategic adaptation. In the chaotic acoustic jungle of Madagascar's rainforests, sound is everything. Imagine this, an orchestra of competing croaks, clicks, buzzes, and howls, filling every inch of the airwaves. For a tiny frog trying to find a mate or warn a rival in that soundscape is like trying to whisper during a rock concert. Enter the phaser frog and its kin with ultrasonic calls that cut through the biological noise, like a precision laser. Scientists believe these frogs evolved high-frequency vocalizations as a form of stealth communication. Not only can they be heard above the din, but many of their predators, snakes, birds, even rival frogs can't hear them at all. It's like having a private radio channel in a crowded jungle. Low profile, high impact. They're proof that nature is still prototyping, still adapting, and still inventing new tricks to meet new challenges. So the next time someone tells you evolution is just about fossils and ancient bones, tell them about Madagascar's whispering frogs. Evolution's not a history book, it's a live broadcast. Meet the grumpy dwarf goby, small but savage. Not all evolutionary marvels are flashy or frog-shaped. Some come wrapped in a scowl, roughly the size of a paperclip. Dwarf goby, a newly discovered species, lurking in the vibrant reefs of the Red Sea. At first glance, it's almost adorable. tiny, brightly colored, and seemingly harmless. But don't let the size fool you. This fish has boss energy. Barely stretching past a few centimeters, the dwarf goby sports a face locked in a permanent grimace, like it's perpetually stuck in underwater traffic. But that angry expression isn't just cosmetic, it matches its behavior. Divers first noticed it not for its looks, but for its attitude. Despite being outsized by nearly every other fish in the area, this goby doesn't back down. Instead, it launches full-blown charges at intruders, often harassing fish 5 to 10 times its size. Territory is everything to the grumpy dwarf goby. It stakes its claim in small coral crevices and guards them like a pint-sized dragon. Scientists have been so fascinated by its behavior that they're now sequencing its genome, hoping to uncover genetic markers linked to hyperterritoriality, aggressive instinct, and rapid environmental adaptation. This tiny tyrant reminds us that nature doesn't always scale aggression to size. Sometimes evolution favors boldness over brawn, attitude over altitude. The dwarf goby isn't just another fish in the sea. It's a fierce little case study in how survival strategies can evolve in miniature form. Big rage, tiny package, maximum personality. What these discoveries tell us about evolutionary rules. Let's take a step back. What does a frog that sounds like a laser beam and a fish with the personality of a bar bouncer have in common? More than just quirkiness. These species, tiny, odd, and hyper-specific, shatter some long-standing assumptions about how evolution works and where innovation is happening. First, they debunk the idea that we've already discovered all the species that matter. If we're still finding glowing frogs with ultrasonic calls and gobies with gladiator rage, what else is out there, quietly rewriting biology textbooks? The natural world is far from fully explored, especially in biodiversity hotspots like coral reefs, deep rainforests, and isolated islands. Second, they prove that small doesn't mean simple. There's a tendency to think tiny animals get by with basic instincts, but these creatures show finely tuned, highly adapted behaviors, whether it's stealthy sound communication or aggressive territorial defense. Their size may be small, but their evolutionary playbook is anything but. And finally, perhaps most importantly, these species remind us that evolutionary innovation is alive and well. It's not some ancient engine that sputtered out after the dinosaurs. It's still humming, still inventing, especially in the right environments. Places like Madagascar's forests or the Red Sea coral systems act as evolutionary pressure cookers. Isolation, competition, and extreme conditions crank up the tempo. And what emerges isn't just survival, it's creativity in its rawest form. It's innovating every single day, quietly, ferociously, and sometimes hilariously. Exploration still works. It's easy to assume we've already found all the headline-worthy animals. Tigers, pandas, blue whales, been there, filmed that, and made a documentary. But the truth? We're still stumbling upon brand new species all the time, sometimes in places that have already been mapped, logged, and Instagrammed to death. Sure, we love the idea of discovering glowing jellyfish in the Mariana Trench or cave salamanders deep underground. But some of the wildest discoveries are happening right under our noses, like the new species of monkey discovered in Myanmar, not in a forbidden jungle temple, but in an area where people already lived nearby, or the see-through gecko found sunbathing on a beach in Thailand, a literal beach lizard, previously overlooked because it blended in too well. In the Amazon, scientists recently identified new species of beetles and fungi right along riverbanks that have been trampled by researchers, locals, and tourists for years. Turns out, the world still hides plenty of secrets. We just weren't looking closely enough. So, what changed? Our tools. Today's explorers are armed with tech that makes the invisible visible. Environmental DNA sampling can detect species from a drop of water or a handful of soil. Ultrasonic microphones capture animal calls we can't hear. Thermal imaging spots creatures hidden in foliage or underground. Suddenly, entire ecosystems are popping into focus, like invisible ink under a blacklight. And every time we point our tools at a new corner of nature, we find more. Exploration isn't a relic of the past, it still works, and it's never been more revealing. World of biomimicry. Here's where things leap from fascinating to futuristic, because these bizarre new species are not just cool to look at, or fun to nickname. They're potential blueprints for solving real human problems. Enter biomimicry, the practice of borrowing from nature's designs to fix the messes we've made or improve the tools we rely on. Evolution is the ultimate research and development department. It's had billions of years to refine solutions, under real-world pressure, zero funding, no rest days, and no patent office. So when we find a glowing frog with ultrasonic communication in a noisy rainforest, we're not just finding a new branch of the tree of life. We're possibly uncovering a model for advanced sonar systems, noise-resistant communications, or stealthy biomedical devices. Nature doesn't just inspire art, it fuels engineering. These discoveries are living patents, waiting to be understood. Biomimicry turns them from exotic oddities into innovation pipelines. So every time we find a new species, we're not just adding to a biodiversity list. We're possibly unlocking the next big breakthrough in science, medicine, or technology. And that's not just wild, it's revolutionary. How biomimicry is already transforming design. If biomimicry sounds like science fiction, here's a reality check. We've already been doing it for years, and not in theory, in products you can buy, technologies you can touch, and architecture you can walk through. Take gecko feet. Those tiny lizards can cling to walls and ceilings without any glue. Engineers studied the microscopic hairs on their toes and mimicked the structure to create wall-climbing robots, dry adhesives, and even medical bandages that stick without leaving residue. Then there's shark skin. It's not smooth. It's covered in microscopic ridges that prevent bacteria and parasites from latching on. That insight has led to antibacterial coatings for hospitals and drag-reducing swimsuits for elite athletes. The same goes for termite mounds, which have complex internal tunnels that regulate temperature. Architects now use that logic to design self-cooling buildings, reducing energy use in hot climates. And those shimmering butterfly wings? Their color isn't from pigment, it's from nanoscale structures that bend light, which has inspired color-changing paint, anti-counterfeit tech, and even future display screens. These aren't just poetic comparisons. They're patents, real-world products, plus profitable innovations. And every bizarre new creature we find, such as glowing frogs, translucent lizards, and Raj-fueled gobies, is another data point in the design language of life. Because evolution doesn't just tinker, it optimizes. Slowly, relentlessly, and under extreme conditions. Buried in that optimization are answers to problems we haven't even framed yet. The next breakthrough, in materials science, architecture, or communication, might not come from a lab. It might come from a beetle in the jungle, or a frog hiding under a leaf. We just have to go find it. Climate change and the race against time. For all the wonder and weirdness we've explored so far, there's a shadow looming over it all. Because here's the hard truth. Many of the ecosystems producing these incredible discoveries are also disappearing. And fast. Places like Madagascar, the Amazon, and the Red Sea, those rich, messy, miracle-filled environments, are being degraded at an alarming pace. Deforestation continues to eat away at rainforests, often for short-term agriculture or logging efforts. Coral bleaching, fueled by rising sea temperatures, is turning vibrant reefs into underwater graveyards. Add to that warming climates, polluted rivers, and the spread of invasive species, and you have a perfect storm. It's not just about animals going extinct, it's worse than that. We're losing species before we even know they exist. Scientists estimate that dozens, maybe hundreds, of undiscovered species go extinct every year. That's not just biodiversity loss, it's data loss. Every lost species may have held a cure, a breakthrough, a sustainable solution. An undiscovered frog might have had a protein to fight antibiotic resistance. A fungus we've never named could have taught us to store carbon more efficiently. A tiny insect may have held the blueprint for next-gen materials or sensor technology. But if it's wiped out before we ever study it, that knowledge vanishes. Permanently. No backups, no do-overs. So yes, biomimicry is exciting, but it also adds urgency to conservation. Because we're not just trying to save cute animals or pretty places. We're trying to preserve the world's most advanced design lab. The time is now, and the clock is ticking. These strange, wonderful species aren't just nature's quirks. They're prototypes, real-life examples that prove science doesn't begin and end in sterile white rooms with beakers and test tubes. It starts in the wild, in tangled forests, coral labyrinths, arid deserts, and most importantly, in the curious minds of people willing to explore them. What's emerging now is a new kind of scientific frontier, not a solo expedition, but a collaborative ecosystem. Biologists are teaming up with engineers, chemists, artificial intelligence developers, and even fashion designers, all working together to create what some call species to design pipelines. Discover a frog with ultrasonic vocal cords, direct it to an acoustic lab, study its anatomy, model it in software. Then, prototype a new communication system that mimics its stealth and precision. And it doesn't stop there. Coral that flexes with ocean currents could inspire adaptive architecture. Microbeetles with impenetrable shells might lead to wearable armor that's light but tough. The aggressive pattern recognition instincts of a goby fish. Imagine intelligent threat detection systems that learn from their behavior. What if we built computers that hear like frogs, materials that bend like coral, and artificial intelligence that responded like territorial gobies? This isn't just poetic musing. It's happening at the intersection of field biology and high-tech labs, where each new species discovery could trigger the next big leap in design, sustainability, or engineering. The wild is no longer just something to protect. It's something to partner with. Because sometimes the smartest ideas don't come from code or calculus. They come from a frog in the jungle, chirping like a laser. Discovery is not dead. We live in a world where you can orbit Earth on a private rocket, ask Copilot to write your grocery list, and another AI to map your entire genome from a cheek swab. It's easy to believe the age of discovery is over, that everything worth finding has already been cataloged, tagged, and uploaded. But almighty nature has a way of keeping us humble. Despite all our tools in tech, over 80% of the ocean floor remains unexplored. That's not a metaphor. We don't know what's down there. Rainforests, buzzing with life, are believed to house millions of undiscovered species, from insects to fungi to mammals we haven't even glimpsed yet. Particularly in places like Antarctic ice sheets, deep limestone caves, and even the guts of termites. Scientists are finding entire microbiomes, ecosystems so new they don't fit into any known category. Every time we get cocky, every time we think we've seen it all, nature throws us a curveball. A frog that chirps like a laser. A goby fish with the emotional range of a caffeine-fueled bouncer. A fungus that glows, digests plastic, and probably dreams in binary. And with each of these discoveries, we're reminded of a fundamental truth. Discovery is not dead, it's just getting started. Supercharged by new tools, fresh curiosity, and a deeper understanding that the wild world still has stories to tell. Some with wings, some with scales, plus some with permanent scowls and ultrasonic secrets. The map is far from finished. So here's the truth. We don't need to imagine alien life. We just need to look at frogs in Madagascar and fish in the Red Sea. They're bizarre, they're brilliant, and they're brand new. Whispering, chirping, sometimes shouting lessons we're only just beginning to hear. The question is, will we listen? Like and subscribe if you want more mind-blowing stories where science, nature, and design collide. Tell us in the comments, which new species do you think will inspire the next big invention? Thanks for watching. Stay blessed and stay curious.